Alright, prefabricated buildings. Today, the Army has launched all over the world use of the prefabricated buildings in most localities where materials cannot be purchased locally, save the time and the materials, well as specify and simplify erection. Prefabricated buildings are standardized available for the use of the temperate, tropical, and Arctic regions. Two, as a carpenter specialist, you will be erecting prefabricated like other structures. They must be the with a good foundation as well as the power to proceed with the erection of one of those buildings. You must see with the construction similar to that of the frame building. Three, beside with the construction building prefabricated, otherwise much of the time will spend keeping the buildings in good repair. The risk of your work with the maintenance to prepare. The maintenance for the repair will work and change with all your building skills. You will inspect the work done with others. Some of it done a long time ago, whether it was poorly done or just wearing out, so that it could require the expense of the repairs. You will be able to correct the trouble. This chapter discusses the erecting, maintaining, repairing prefabricated buildings. Also discussed in the requirements of the construction of these buildings, temperate, tropical, and Arctic regions. Prefabricated wooden buildings. Prefab wooden buildings is assembled the pre-cut members of the joists and placements of the rafters are already assembled when they are delivered to the building. In some cases, pre-cut pieces may be partially assembled in standardized size. The panels may be designed for the use of the frame. They may be shaped in such a manner that they can be bolted together to form floors, walls, roofs. Let's look at the construction, each of the type of the method of making the repairs. 4-2 panel prefabricated wooding. A wooden prefab is assembled. The panels will have any outward appearance similar with the building shown in Figure 28. The vertical strip that is used to cover the joints between the exterior walls and panels distinct with the building with each of the panel type. Prefab located in Figure 29 that compare with the Figure 28. The Figure 29 shows the partial assembled panel with the prefab building, with the Figure 28 shows the completed building. Note that the distinct lines made with the joints being between the panel. Also note that the Figure 29 the framework is part of the panel. There are no separate framing that's required. 4-3 floors. Floor of the panel prefab building consists of the floor joint and girder for the boards with the fastened 2 or 3 joint for the form panel with the 4 feet by 8 feet long. With the panels are placed on girders that are supported with the posts of the columns. The panels are fastened in place with the screw. The joints are between the panels of the cover of the T-shaped metal strip. When the plywood is used with this floor of the edge of the protected with the H-shaped metal strip that is inserted between the two panels of the strip that also prevent dust and small objects from collecting in the joint. The panels are easily removed without damaging the edge of the metal strip. Remove the end of the inside panels first. 4-4 repair can be made with the individual floors in the same manner the repairs are made with the floor of the other buildings. All panels are interchangeable. Repair with weak panels removed from the main path of the traffic exchange with the stronger panel located in the other parts of the building. 4-5, there are a variety of floor plans for the type of the building. One of the types should be with your post. Some of the panels have some floor insulation or both. The type of the use depending on the particular use of which the panels will be put in climate in which they will be used for. The example, the floor which must have the heavy equipment must obviously have the stronger than that which will bear light equipment. Again, panels intended for the use of the hot and humid climate such as the common type of the tropic. Figure 28 shows the prefabricated wooden buildings. Figure 29 shows the prefabricated wooden panel. Both roof panels bolted into the ridge, but board 16 in diameter holes or 14 quarter-inch bolts. Tropic are not for the reason alone, but suitable for use without cold weather, low humidity, the dryness of the Arctic region of walls. The panel used with the exterior walls over the exterior covering of the light frame, the covering of the fiber wood, plywood, shading frame with maybe 1x1, 1x2, 1x1, 1x1.5, or 1x1.5, or 2x2. Or 2x3 inch material which insulated the required fibers fiber with installed between the exterior and the interior covers. Doors and windows are assembled within the standard size of the 4x6 or 4x8 foot panel. The panels are interchangeable so that they can relocate the windows and doors in solid sections are desired. 4-8, the wall panels are fastened in place with a double head scaffold nails with the lag screws. Both of the bolts are used to fasten two panels together along with the vertical edge shown in Figure 29. The fastener used with the prefab can easily remove with the damaging of the panels. 4-9 repairs of the walls usually consist of the replacing a 1x2, 1x4 strip over the vertical joints, replacing the wall cover. The more parts installed with the panels are assembled with glued and cannot be dismantled. You can repair the damaged area with the fiber board, cover the panel with the installing the fiber wood patch, make the patch enlarged enough so that you can fasten at least two edges into the frame with the members of the waterproof glue with the fastening to other the two edges of the glue may also be fastened same small plywood fiber wood patches if they cannot be fastened to the frame. 410 sticking doors and windows are probably the type of the building with the panel weakened to begin with. The warped normal adjustments do not correct with the situation. You can have the strength of the panel, the placement of the panel covering over the new material will give it an additional strength and add an interior covering over on the panel, but it also helps to reduce the flexibility to keep the tray. 411, the panel type of the fabricated does not you have the corner brace for the use of the building becomes older. It weakens the wind pressure for the main cover of the building to lean shift the slightly wind for the doors and the bottom. You can use guide wires to each of the corners to help to prevent the excessive shifting of the panels. The guide wires should be attached to the top of the corner of the panel near the eave of the corner of the roof panel. At the other end of the wire may be fastened to the stick in another prefab building. The solid structure of the guide wires are a part of the original assembly with the prefab building that is used for the area with the strong prevailing winds. 412, the roof panels are built according with the climate conditions that exist where they're Building is used the panel to consist of the 2x2 but an inch frame with a fiber board covering sufficient for some of the air. The heavy 2x4 frames are used the 1 inch for the decking. The plywood would be used for the snow loads. The accepted insulated panels are used for both hot and cold alignments. 413 roof panels are fastened to the top of the exterior wall panels at the ridge. The ridge board is placed between the upper end of the two roof panels with both as used to hold them together as shown in figure 229. The side members of the rafters of the panel frame with the bolted and adjoining panels. 414 some of the roof panels have the offset edge so that they fit together with the lap. The figure 1 and page 229 of the 210 of the inch of the chapter 1. Like ship lap with the lumber with the joints help to line up the panels. Also help with the prevent leaks. The joints become the panel with the seal with the covering within the bitumen adhesive cloth strip of the some of the expansion, contraction, any other movement of the panels that will damage the joint seal. You'll probably have to renew the replace the seal every year or two when the extended use of the plan for the building and it's best to cover the entire roof with a layer of the roofing. The roofing can be cut when the panel joints when the building is disassembled. 415 the roof of the panel prefab building is not as strong as the standard wood construction. Therefore, they must be careful with the check the repair of the roof panels. Make sure the temporary walkway by using 1 by 12 inch board with cleats will extend with the cable to the ridge. Replace with the joint seal. Start with work at one end of the building and work toward the other end of the void. Walking on the new repaired area. Do not walk back across the panels after completing your work. Unnecessary walking on the roof will break the joint seals. You will have to replace them again. 416 prefabricated building frame. Prefabricated wooden building is known to pre-cut with a light frame building. The frame is pre-cut with the pre-assembled before it is delivered to the job site with the studs and rafters are widely spaced as shown in figure 30. Let's take a look at the construction of this building. 417 floors. The floors are framed prefab building consists of the floor joists and girders with a combination of the subfloor finishing floors used for the smooth finish of additional insulation value is required. Girders extend with around the parameter along with the center line of the building to support the joist. The joists are spaced with 24 inches down the center of each the length of the joist spanning with the distance between the girders and the subfloor is laid with either diagonally perpendicular with the joist of the finished floor is used one of the lengthwise in the building. Top of the building may also be used with a concrete slab floor. Alright, you start with the corner brace, the top plate, the trusted raft, the corner brace, corner post with the brace, girder, sole plate with the subfloor, splice plate, the ground line, the front footing of the bed below the ground, the scab, the grib, girder, sill, the window opening of the joist, and the knee brace and splice plate stud. 418 repairs of the floor consist of replacing individual pieces of the floor, recover the layer of the plywood justified in the walls roof that are in good condition of the building can be used for several many more years. That use the layer of the 15-pound felt between the layers of the floor to prevent dust from entering through the joint. There are tile and linoleum and not use the wood of the floor for the not reasonable solid to cover with a smooth underlayment. 419 walls. The walls are in the frame prefabricated consist of the studs and plate with the girder brace. The side walls have the studs spacing the 4 feet on center of the end of the walls have the stud for the corner beside the door opening single to the top of the bottom of the plate. You with the end with the stud at the bottom of the on sole plate with the place at the top of the subfloor with the fastening the subfloor joist for the platform construction. The girder of the horizontal member located at the center height of the wall is served with the fastening served with the exterior wall covering the nose for the horizontal gins for the extended end of the section of the figure 30. These serve the fastening served with the 4 by 8 foot sheath of plywood placing horizontally. The plywood may be placed either horizontally or vertically on the sidewall sheets. The plate for the horizontally help to place the blade for the corners. The knee brace of the figure 30 and the end of the section they extend with the top plate at the corner with the bottom of the plate. The door open, setting in the brace of the short length of the 2x4 nailed between the stud at an angle may be used with the sidewalls. The corner brace of the C figure 30 at the extend with the cross of the corner with the top plate to the hole of the corner square. 420. The exterior wall covering may be the 1 inch thick sheeting of the fiber board insulation panel plywood. The bridge installation board may be installed with the first covering the felt with a felt membrane layer with a plywood layer of the roofing felt. The roofing felt protects the exterior wall from the moisture and eliminates the need for painting the wooden strip of the wood layer of the holding the roof the felt in place. With the work of the exterior walls consist of the additional bracing, the preparing the windows and doors, replacing the sheeting and the felt with the top of the torn felt should be replaced and fastened with the wood strips. Check the wood strips hold the felt with the covering in place to draw the loose and nail up the ties of the holding the strips firmly against the felt. 422 roof. The roof consists of the pre-cut fiber rafters, ceiling of the joist brace that can be assembled on the job that makes the truss. The ceiling joist extend with the full width of the building end and fasten the lower end of the rafter. The lower end of the rafter is seated with the top plate with the side wall shown figure 30 with the joint made with the joints rafter. Very important. The joints help with preventing the lower end of the rafter, the top of the wall, with the moving outward. Perhaps you have noticed the buildings where side walls bowed outward with a rigid saddle within the middle. This is possible when the rafter and the top plate with the pulled loose from the ceiling joist. The load of the rafter force of the upper part of the wall of the cover outward with the ridge line becomes lower. Also, that happens to permit the structure most uncommon in the light frames with a fewer and lighter ceiling ceiling joists are used. 423. The rafter spacing the same and the stud spacing the forearm foot on center of the knee brace of the fastening with the rafter ceiling joist, the wall stuff, using average 12 to 16 feet of the length of the building, 1 inch for the sheeting the board with the use of the roof of the deck with the roll roof, and these used roll roof cover, and there's no roof overhang over the eave of the gable of the roof covered and lamp down the sidewall to prevent leaks along the edge of the roof. 424. The interior light frame of the refab is usually open. The leak of the easily located with the visual inspection. The ceiling portion of the user of the building will also locate the leaks that enter the attic going on the roof. Do not walk around the roof with any more absolutely necessary. So you should locate the leaks and enter the attic with a checking the watermark for the go on the roof to make the repairs. Using 1x12 for the walkway to avoid walking between the rafters. The wide spacing of the rafters always use the decking to slag when you are walking on it. Of course, the old brittle of the roof may be broken beyond repair, but the only feasible way to fix the leaks may be to put on a new rolled roof. 425. The most repair work of the frame prefab building is similar to repair work on the standard frame. The structure, just keep in mind with the light frame building, repairs of the frame usually consist of the nailing splice beside the faulted member rather than attempting to replace the frame. 426. Know that we have discussed the wooden prefab buildings. Let's see how the prefabricated buildings are assembled and repaired. 5. Prefabricated metal buildings. And I'm going to cut break there. 5. Prefabricated metal buildings. Prefabricated metal buildings you can do with the military. Insulation construct with many different types of metal, however, the galvanized sheet of metal, aluminum, and most common type of materials used with the prefab. Most prefabs are referred to as portable buildings, where they may be assembled and relocated when they are no longer needed in one area. They can also be shipped to an area where they can serve with a useful function with a concentrate on attention of the two metal buildings, frequently used with advanced base hut and light steel frame buildings. 5.2. Advanced base hut. Advanced base hut is usually preferred consuet hut, the standard size with the 20 to 48 feet with the height with the wool frame. Some of them are 2-3 feet times long as units. They are planned so that they are assembled in a section of 8 foot to make it the 8, 16, 28 feet long. They are assembly adopted in quarters on the office space of the workshop, training area, supply the storage, or any other function can be placed within. The nail screws bolts and remove the assembly with the concept or easily remove the repaired assembly of the unit required. The primary part of the hut or floor with the wall, so let's see if they put together. 5.3. The floors. The floors consist of the metal of the frame of the plywood cover the main supporting of the building. Provide with the frame for 5 girder with the run length of the building. The I-shaped girder with a place of approximately 5 feet 1 inch on center to provide the support of the floor joist. The girder is what we call in the wooden building is referred to as the I-beam. Its shape of the joist still its function, its metal construction. The joists are spaced 2 feet on the center of the plate on the perpendicular with the joist sill, with shown in Figure 31, and the U-shaped channel plate is fastened too. Alright, figure 31 shows the sill joint, assembly joist, sill, bolt, and splice plate, the joist sill, with the sheet metal screw with the corner channel plate and the joist. Figure 32 shows the joint and spline arch rib with the sheet metal screw with the channel plate. The top of the joint bars are bordered with the floor surface of the fastening strip at the end of the wall stuff. The arc rib with the figure 32 shows the arc ribs connect with the channel of the plate with the channel plate with the comparable to the bottom of the plate used with the wave frame building. 5.4. The floor is made with the 4.8 foot sheet, the plywood with the 12 sheet with the plywood replaced with the side of the joints along with the sidewall to cover the length of the 48 foot building. The 2 rows sheet with the blood against the channel plate with the sidewall, the 6 feet for the place with the end of the field, the remaining 4 feet with the center of the building. The actual floor width between the channel plate with the 20 foot 1 inch with the 1 inch with the more than 2 inches of the length of the 1 width of the plywood sheet with the floor covering. And the 1 inch space is divided between the 2 center joints to allow the 1.5 inch for the crack between the end of the other side of the sheet. The edge of the center sheet of these joints are protected with the H-shaped metal floor splines as shown in Figure 33. This is spline protected. Figure 33. This is a spline project. The edge of the plywood to keep the joint with the clean, allow for the movement of the plywood sheet. The wide joint with the split spline open spline makes it easy for the remove the center of the sheet while the subject to the most wear. Only 3 to 4 nails are used with the fasten into place. Similarly, 6 pendant common nail with the driven through the plywood into the groove of the joist. Notice that the groove the separation along with the top of the bottom of the joist shown in Figure 31. 5.5 walls. The end of the walls of the hut consist of the metal stud channel plate with the wood of the door head of the corrugated of the sheet metal siding. The studs set with the channel are fastened in the plate with the round head sheet with the metal screws. 1 screw with the plate through the inside of the edge of the channel. Another is placed through the outside edge of the channel. There are 4 screws with the holes in the end of the stud, but it's also necessary to fasten through the edge of them except for the splice of the 2 lengths. Over the channel plate, alternate holes inside the right and outside left, and inside the left, the outside right. Normally, you have to remove the stuff, but they must gain the access both the inside and the outside screw. The Figure 34 shows the location of the framing members at the end of the section, the window of the door, Window door head is consistent with the channels that are fastened between the surface of the fastening point with the side of the interior finishing and the window of the door frame. The figure 5/6 sidewall of the roofing frame with the arch print ribs and purlins. Window of the hitters of the arch rib. The space with the 4-foot on center extend with the channel of the ridge of the highest point of the building. The 2 arch ribs are spliced with the peak with the splice plates with the bolt in the form to complete the arc. The bottom of each of the arch rib is fastened to the channel plate with a sheet of metal screw with the header of the side of the window is fastened between the arc of the ribs, and the 4 purlins are fastened near the top of the arc as shown in figure 34. Figure 5/7 corrugated sheet metal that used to cover the arc with the fastened horizontally on the side of the arc to cover the area of the lower purlin with the joist and silver the covered sheet with the cover the top of the arc with the placement across the purlins. The joint the vents and the roof jacks are built in the round sheet with the use of the purlin, and these sheets are the same width of the length of the others and are interchangeable with them so that they can relocate the vents if necessary. Figure 5/8 repairs the exterior walls usually consist of replacing the seal, retightening the fasteners around the door and the windows. Figure 35 shows the shape of the rubber seal that is used to prevent leaks in the joint made with the corrugated metal on the flat surface. 5/9 when insulation used with the wall of the consonant hut with the fastened with the wooden strip they are placed between the arc rib. The interior covering consists of the plywood panel with 1/2 inch thick and that are easily bent to fit with the inside surface of the arc rib. The H-shaped spline is usually along the side of the plywood, and wood strips are used to cover the horizontal joints as figure. Figure 33 shows the splicing channel with plywood and floor spline. Alright, figure 34 shows the end of the wall framing, arch rib purlins, header, door frame, studs, channel, 4 foot by 8 by 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot, 20 and 8 and a quarter out of the ribs. 36 shows the complete assembly of the bottom of the panel, but very carefully remove the inside of the panel. Should be loose from the joining panel with the spring out of the ribs. That we will have more than a handful of the panels at one time. Also have another work with you will move the panel with the corrugated sheet metal with the 2 main jobs. Figure 10, 11, 5, 10 shows the light steel frame building, light steel for the frame building, the common building, the main base for the usually special purpose build. And this has been put up with some support special features. Function of the light steel frame of the building is made in the different type of the light steel frame. The frame shown figure 37 is similar to the frames used in the building. The 20-foot, 50-foot width with the bays, the 12, 16, to 20 feet long. With the exterior wall of the 10, 12 to 14 feet high. A bay distance between the columns along the side wall of the bay. With the basic assembly of the building consists of 1 or more bays. There are no limit the number of the bays that can be placed on the end to end from the form of the building. The frame with the shown figure 37 is referred to as the open bay construction between because there are no supports needed in the bay. The area between the side wall is open and obstruct space. 511 framing. The end wall frame is assembled the prefabricated parts of each of the piece of the metal is shaped and drilled and are assembled before it leaves the factory. The frame is set up on the concrete foundation slab. Anchor bolts are placed in the concrete to provide solid fasteners for the far columns. Because the columns vertically numbered, the channel type base plate is used to secure with the column's face. The anchor bolts hold the base plate, but the base plate is bolted in the base of the column. Figure 36 shows the exterior wall assembly, the joist, sill, the joist, your plywood floor, your shoe molding, your wire nail, your channel plate, your panel, your blanket insulation wall covering. Figures 5-12 show the roof beams extending to the top of the column, the peak of the roof, from the main support of the roof. The roof beams follow the path of the common rafter joined with the ridge with the splice of the plates. The bolts, splice plates, or splice plates or base plates are placed on the top of the bottom and the side of the roof beams at the ridge. 513 end walls and door posts extend with the foundation of the roof beam with the bolted and plate for the H end of the door frame and attached with the door post, the door head over the fast with the door head girder which extend with the bolt between the door post, the girder extends with the bolt column with the column across the end of each bay. May also be with the screw of the door header of the tracks about the sliding of the door. Use the base of a 90-degree angle with the fastener on the foundation between the columns. The provide fastening strip with the vertical sliding. Top siding is the fastening with the angle that is attached with the roof beam. The eave struts provide with the support surface for the fastening of the top of the sidewall panels. The intermediate fastening surfaces are provided with a horizontal girth on both ends of the sidewall. The 14 sag rods are shown in figure 37 are used to prevent the girths from sagging between the columns of the sag. The rods are also used with the roof frame to help hold the purlins lines. The rods may be channeled with thin channels by clipping in place, but they're not adjustable. They may also be threaded by the thread rods that can be adjusted. The thread rods should be kept tight and over tight and will force the girths out of the line and pull the screws loose in the siding. 515 angle to the inside the vertical and frame louvers and window for the angles over from the frame of the upper part of the gable to provide with the fastener surface of the lower frame. Figure 387 shows the prefabricated steel building. You got your sag rods, your purlins, the brace rods on the east supports, the turnbuckle, the ridge frame, the window angles, the girts, the sag rods, the brace rods, the base angle, the base plate girts. Window angles, bridge frame, brace rods, rock beam, lover angles, door track, column, door head, and girder, and door post and door guides. Figure 538 shows a deep wall V wall panel, deep V corrugated siding, plastic seal, 1.5 inch lap weather seal with insulation, T-bar, dirt. And the siding angles to fit between the Z-shaped wall with the gear reds to provide with the fastening surface of the window frame. The figure 516 note the brace rods and figure 37 these brace rods that eve squarely in the end of the base of the building's brace rod with the roll running diagonally from the top of the low. One count on the bottom of the joint column with the bit rod passing through the slab of the column bevel, the washer, flat washer. Nuts are used at the end of the rods. The turnbuckles are used at the intermediate point with the rod to provide for adjustment. Turnbuckles have the right head of the thread on one end with the left-handed thread, and the other end can be tightened and loosened on each of the section of the rod at the same time. Adjustment may be made with the tightening or loosening of the nuts on the end of the rods. When you tighten one rod, you must loosen one that crosses to provide further fit, shifting the framing. The brace rods between the roof beams and surfaces to hold the base square must be considered if they adjust the brace rods enough to cause the shift in the frame. 5.7 wall and roof covering the panel, metal wall to cover the maybe panel that contains layer of insulation or maybe some other type of material. Figure 38 shows the two insulated panel joints together with the vertical joint. These two types of insulation T-bars and square with the wall girds with the metal weather seal placing over the T-bar to provide the durable, moisture-proof joint. The insulation with the first panel butts against the weather seal with the metal siding lap over the joints. The next panel, the insulation metal butted against the weather seal. The metal siding laps over the previous sheet with the form of the lap joint, the 1.5 and the laps. Mastic seal is applied with the area of the lap before the second panel is installed. The mastic seal is permanent and should never have been replaced except when the panel is replaced when the building is disassembled or located. 518, another type of the rib wall panel has also an insulated core with shown figure 39. The panel with the vinyl joint seals inserted along the edge of the wall, the vertical edge of the fit together to do this on the tongue, the groove boards of the weatherproof joint. 519 lap joints and vinyl seal joint with the common method to make it the waterproof vertical joint and with the exterior wall the mastic seal with the U of the lap of the joint insulated panel. They also use the sheet metal with the siding roof of the mastic comes in a strip of the moisture proof of the paper backing the looks over the like of the masking tape. The strips are rolled like of the for easily handling the unroll the tape and apply the mastic of the baking on the joint area with leave the paper back on the mastic up until you are ready to install the next panel. Just peel the paper off the exposed the clean layer of the mastic when you are ready to cover the joint. The mastic is also required for the horizontal joint of the roof plate panels to prevent water from being blown in under the top of the panel. Figure 520 when the horizontal joints are required in. Alright, figure 39 shows the rib wall panel, vinyl seal joints. Figure 40 shows the end lap exterior wall panel. When horizontal joints are required in the wall with the form of the lapping upper panel over the lower point panel shown in figure 40, the Z-shaped bar is the girt with the slices made. The material in the metal with the covering the lower part of the extended Z-bar with the metal covering the upper panel laps over the lap of the power to form a 6-inch lap joint. 520 a solid rubber seal was made with waterproof joints with the rib panels that overlap with the smooth surface of the figure 41 A, B, C, and D. It shows the shape of the rubber seal with the U with the roof of the galvanized sheet metal panel with the A with the rib panels B with the asbestos cement panel C, corrugated glass panels D. The seals are placed in the prevention moisture for the getting of between the panel with the smooth surface. 522 the special rubber seals are also made with the U with the E with the strip of the shown figure 54 metal closure strips may be needed in addition to the it shows A, B, C, and D's rubber seals. Rubber seals too close in the space between the ribs of the panel. The figures 422 illustrate the top of the information getting with the emphasis for 5 with the drawing of the drafting section of the drawing shown with the side view with each of the part of the assembly. Each part with identify the shape, the name, the size, the type of the material. Check the drawing file and locating the hidden parts of the building so that you can plan with the work accordingly. 524 sheet metal and sliding fast for the girders, base angle, the eave strut with the gable and gabe angle with the self-tapping metal sheet metal screw with a fastening seal. The seal you can use the seal screws. Alright, figure 542 shows the eave assessment or assembly. Rubber closure strip, the gutter support, the metal cutter, there's a metal siding, the roof beam, the eave strut, and the eave closure. KDM coated rusted restraint screw, the coated screw for the U with the fastened aluminum panels and steel frame. 525 when aluminum panels are played with the steel frame with some of the time the type of the separate with the must be also between the different metals the separate you provide with the coating of the steel with the are in contact with the asphalt paint. You can also layer the waterproof paper and the asphalt and saturated felt with a separator in the metal construction frequently impossible to prevent the contact with the dissimilar metal. The contact may result in the corrosion of one of the metals in protection form. Corrosion of the metal. If this is called the galvanic action. Electricity that occurs with a metal with a different position with the electromotive shear of the direction of the contact present with the electrolyte with the common metal with the U of the construction lift of the electromotive shear of the following order of 1 aluminum, 2 zinc, 3 iron, 4 tin, 5 lead, 6 copper. When these two metals are enlisted with the contact of the presence with the electrolyte, the other with the lowest number is corroded. Also, the farther the separation list, the greater the corrosion will be. Thus, the iron and copper contact the presence with the water. The iron would corrode more than the lead. Contact with the copper under the similar condition. Any means separated with the dissimilar metals will protect against this action. 27. Perhaps if you begin with the wonder with how the dissimilar metals can be evenly layered with a single sheet with the metal with the let's take a lead coated copper. For example, the lead coating of the copper is a low number, the value of the electromotive shear that effective with the corrosion, while with the copper being protected with the corrosion. Also, the two metal with the consecutive with the 5 and 6 within the shear of the minimum amount of the corrosion anticipated that the purpose of the lead coating is protect the copper, the case for the protect for the two ways physically, chemically. 528. The doors and windows. We have discussed the location and fastener of the door post and the window angle. So let's look at the main units. Metal door for the preferred the prefabricated metal for the building. The two types of these doors. One type of the angled iron, the sheet, and the steel metal. Aluminum frame, single metal covering the exterior surface of the frame is exposed to the inside of the building. The other type of the metal of the door frame with the metal frame with the metal with the covering on each side of the door is built. Figure 433 weather strip and insulation, threshold, floor, metal and rubber weather strip, hollow core, metal door. Like the flush door, many of the either have the hollow or insulated core. This 44 shows the glazing metal sash, putty bed, the glazing clip, and the putty. Metal doors seldom need repairing and maintenance. They usually consist of the tightening of the bolts holding the lock plate for the tightening, the plate for the screws and hinge weather strips. Occasionally, they usually correct the problem of those screws and bolts, but you might probably call with the supply of new larger screws. The retightening of the screws required for the frequent intervals should be substituted with the screw with one side of the large for the old one. Relocate the hinge, make the new screw hole with the weather strip on the jab, which caused the very little trouble to help the strip along with the bottom of the door made any damage for the but become loose. The threshold strip extended beyond the lower edge of the door with the hooks in the groove within the threshold and then shown in figure 43. Make sure the strip is adjusted that fits into the roof with the type of threshold weather strip of the common exterior door with the swing over the concrete floor. 531. Windows maintenance consists of the tightening of the mounting screw with the frame side panel with the U-shaped drip channel with the gutter, the replacing the glass with the metal sheet with the lift, little difference with the working wood with the sash with the wind, remove the old putty with the sash with the must locate with the save with the metal glass clips, locate the glass clips, glazing clips shown in the figure 44 the clips fitting with the edge of the glass tip frame with the one end of the fit end of the clip fit in the hole of the frame, the other end for the hooks on the edge of the glass. This allows the other thickness for those clips that when you cut the new glass to place the bed of the putty of the frame and the press the new plastic gently against it and use the screwdriver to install the glazing clips. Clips will hold the glass in place while you are applying the beveled layer of the putty around the edge of the glass. Alright, 532. Any of the problems encountered with the repairing prefabricated house can be solved by the information you learned on any other type of the buildings. Will therefore move on the discussion of the construction of prefabricated buildings for the temperate with the tropic Arctic regions. 6. Construction of prefabricated buildings, temperature of the tropic and Arctic region. Prefabricated buildings constructed with the standardized of the temperature of tropic and Arctic region with done with the safety time of the material as well as simply erection construction for temperate ranges. All of the prefabricated ranges discussed in section 1 and 2 with the chapter with the construction of the use of the temperature of the region with no special factors needed with the same with the prefab buildings of the temperature climates. The construction plan with the temperature climate specifically minimum requirements of the floor can be either earth, wood, and concrete depending upon the purpose of the building. 6.3. The construction of the tropical region of the floor plan prefabricated building tropic close made with provide with the made and much of the our air circulation as possible. Most buildings designed with the tropical climates have the wood floors which are raised above the ground to ensure dryness to prevent the mildew and the entrance of the insect. The use of the continuous screen opening with the bridge vents with the floor level vents that provide with much of the ventilation of the possible consistent with the shelters that is required overhanging the eaves to shield the opening for the direct rays of the sun and forward with some of the protection rainstorm from the protection against the termites. All wood members touching the ground surface with the cover of the metal shield. Standard prefabricated buildings are designed to resist the normal forces. However, the air with the high wind velocity, all buildings will be anchored by the cable drive rather than the modifying of the buildings themselves. 6.4. Construction of the Arctic region. The extreme Arctic weather will require modification of the standard prefabricated building only. The use of the temperature on the two major modifications include the use of floors, air, the double thickness of the wall, thin roof, the insulated the heat, the supply with the individual stove, the heaters, the doors and windows opening with a small oval large enough to provide adequate ventilation passes. The roof framing is designed for the snow loads of 15 pounds per square foot. When it is impossible to clear heavier snow from these roofs, the roof framing must be strengthened. Chapter 3, Heavy Timber Construction.